Compare the test scores for these three students based on their particular test. Jesus scored 18 on his language arts test, where the mean was 15 and the standard deviation was 1.4. Maria scored 18, the mean was 17, and the standard deviation 1.9. Juliet scored 16 and the mean is 15.46 and the standard deviation 0.8. Use z-scores to determine who had the highest performance. So what we'd like to do is convert from tests that were very different in terms of mean and standard deviation and convert them to something that is standard that gives us a way to compare them, because those three students all say they did the best. So we want to figure out who really did the best. So what we would do is use that z-score formula for each one of them based on their own test. So to start with, I'm going to write that z-score formula, x minus mu over sigma. I'm still using that because it looks like it's for all people, but it could be a sample. It doesn't matter which formula you use. All right, so Jesus, his z will be 18 minus his mean is 15. His standard deviation for his test is 1.4. Then we have Maria. Maria has a score of 18. Her test's mean was 17. Her test standard deviation 1.9. And then we have Juliet. Now Juliet had a 16, but her mean was 15.46, standard deviation 0.8. You know how it goes. Everybody starts comparing their scores and everyone's like, oh, well, I got this score. Well, I got this score. And then the one who gets the lowest score, Juliet, says, well, I got a 16, but it was a harder test. And so we can figure out if she's right or not. So looking at the mean and standard deviation for her test, we can see if she did better than her peers on that test. So starting with the first one, 18 minus 15, and we get a 3 divided by 1.4, and we get a z-score for Jesus of 2.14, and I don't have to change the 4 because the next digit is a 2. So Maria, 18, she's only getting 1 point above the mean. She's got 1 divided by 1.9, and so she is only, Maria, 0.53, I do have to round up on this one, 0.53 above the mean. Juliet, let's see if she's right, that her test was harder, 15.46. She got 0.54 better, and her standard deviation is really low, and so that puts her at 0.68, because I do need to round. It looks like Jesus gets bragging rights. His number of standard deviations above the mean, they all three are above the mean, but his is highest. And we have a mound distribution drawn in here, and so we can just compare their z-scores on this mound. And Jesus, let's see, the smallest is Maria, and she's at 0.5, so that'll be Maria. Juliet is at 0.68, so very, very close to her. We'll put a J there, Ju there. And then Jesus is over here at 2.14, so we'll put JE there for Jesus. So he's way above, comparatively speaking. So there we are, 0.53, 0.68, and then way up here at 2.14. So Jesus comparatively did the very best. So we're going to write that down. So Jesus did better than his peers, quite a bit better. Maria did slightly better than her peers, and Juliet slightly better than her peers. Using the z-scores, we can compare the three of their scores even though they took very different tests.